Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President and my colleagues, I think anybody, I know I'm shocked, but I think anybody who's listening and watching, from the media to the 19.5 million people who we represent, would be shocked to hear some of the things that were said on that side of the aisle. Not that they're not true. They would be shocked that you said them on this floor and admitted to them, and I'm glad they're in the record today. We heard early on that we need a philosopher as a judge, as the chief judge of the Court of Appeals, highest court. We need a philosopher. We don't need a philosopher as a judge in the state or anywhere else, on a local level or on a federal level. We need a judge that is learned of the laws we make, a separate branch of government, the intent of those laws, and acts to protect the freedoms and liberties embedded in the state, but more importantly, the greatest Constitution, the greatest document in the world, the Constitution of the United States of America, which embodies all those freedoms and liberties. We don't need a judge that makes amendments to the laws we make, which we could make if we wanted to, as an activist. I'm shocked that, on the record, we think we need a philosopher as our chief judge. Then I heard the other side say, we don't do everything all the time neat and clean. You're right. That's on the record too, and I appreciate the majority leader putting that on the record. You don't do things neat and clean, but what you said is, I don't do them neat and clean, but it's the outcome that matters. That's basically the end justifying the mean. That's never a reason to take means to do something. The end should never justify the means. Now, I'm not surprised about the fact that that's the truth. I'm surprised your majority leader said it on the floor. You don't use things in a neat and clean manner to get things done. The reason why I'm not shocked is because I saw the redistricting last year, and that's what this is all about. You know that, I know that, the media knows that, and the public should understand that. You're trying to get an activist judge to roughshod the rest of the courts to turn over the unconstitutional redistricting that you're saying took place with the unconstitutional redistricting that you put in place to begin with. What they told you, the highest court, was that basically it wasn't even a redistricting. It was a savage attack on our representative democracy. They were right. Now you want to use the not so neat and clean process by appointing an activist judge to go back, maybe try to gain Congress. I don't know what else you're trying to do, but that's not the way to get things done. And you know what you're doing when you don't use those neat and clean processes to get things done? You get 30% of the people in New York State saying in 5 years they're going to walk out of this state. That's what you get. 30%. You know, you could try, but we got 70. You mean 3 out of 10 people want to leave the state of New York, and you think your agenda is working? You've had control the last 4 years. In 48 years, in the past 48 years, you're the first political party who controlled all levers of power. You've got a supermajority here. You've got a supermajority in the Assembly. Schumer, when Spitzer was here, you had it for a little bit. Then they had that consolidation. But consistently, you haven't been able to pass an on-time budget. Now, you never said, give us full control and we'll pass a good late budget. You said you'd have an on-time budget. You said you'd incentivize people to stay here and live here. They're living in groves. We're number one in out-migration. We're one of 7 states that lost another representative. 30% say they want to leave the state. We're behind Florida in population now. We were one of 2 to create jobs and economic development. When enough people leave the state that can afford to leave the state, and I've said this before, U-Haul's doing pretty good in this state right now, one of the businesses. When middle class and lower incomes are the only people left, when you pass a $226, $230 billion budget, how are you going to pay for infrastructure, education, health care, daycare, libraries? It's not going to be possible. It's not sustainable. It's not I love New York anymore. It's I leave New York. And if you continue to do not so neat and clean things to get things done, that's going to continue to happen. Because the end never justifies the means. And that's the statements we heard on the floor today. And that's why I'm voting no on this particular candidate.